Chapter 30. Melanie grinned gleefully from ear to ear when she saw all the people staring at him. She was determined to humiliate him as revenge for what happened at the project site. To her surprise, however, Emmanuel retorted with a smile, "Shouldn't you be getting yourself checked out at the gynecology department? If a person like you is allowed to come here, then I see no problem with me being here." Everyone began murmuring among themselves when they heard that. The men, in particular, let their imaginations run wild as they discussed how Melanie must have looked when Emmanuel examined her body. Melanie's face burned bright red as she shouted, "Don't listen to him. I have never been examined by him. He's just making stuff up." Since Melanie was trying to humiliate Emmanuel, Rosalind decided to return the favor. "Huh? He wouldn't be interested in you even if you were standing stark naked in front of him. Now, I recall a certain someone showing up at our house asking to marry this gynecologist." No nonsense. I would never want to marry a loser like him." Melanie protested, but her desperation only made her seem even more guilty. Most of the onlookers assumed she was simply mocking Emmanuel out of jealousy. Some of them even thought Rosalind was Emmanuel's girlfriend. Is this a baddie between his ex and his current girlfriend? Not wanting to waste any more of their time and energy on Melanie, Emmanuel and Rosalind continued eating and hunting for single, handsome men at the banquet. In order to add insult to injury, Rosalind even flashed Melanie a smug grin as they walked past her. "You think you can win against me? You're 100 years too early." Emmanuel and Rosalind were having a great time enjoying the food when a guy called out from behind, "Long time no see, Rosalind." Rosalind turned around in response, only to frown when she saw who it was. Emmanuel, too, had displeasure written all over his face as he recognized the guy. "That's Chase Parker. He's about 6 feet tall, looks rather handsome, and has a wealthy family background." Rosalind used to have a crush on him back when she was in university, and the two of them ended up dating each other. He was Rosalind's first love. However, she caught him cheating on her not long after they started dating, so she broke up with him on the spot. Rosalind never dated anyone after that. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with her past relationship. It probably traumatized her deeply. "Mister, do you mind if I speak to Rosalind in private?" Instead of feeling awkward after being ignored by Rosalind, Chase shamelessly asked Emmanuel to leave them. A poor guy like him doesn't deserve to be with Rosalind. Emmanuel nearly burst out laughing when he realized that Chase didn't know they were siblings. Since Chase assumed he was courting Rosalind, Emmanuel decided to play along and said, "And why should I let you have this beautiful woman over here? She's the most perfect woman I've ever met." He wanted to make Chase regret cheating on a pretty woman like Rosalind. Chase let out a disdainful chuckle as he placed a stack of cash in front of Emmanuel and said, "Judging by your outfit, I'd say you're not a guest at this banquet. Here's a tip for you. Now, buzz off before you lose your job." Because Emmanuel's plain attire made him look out of place among all the guests on the 3rd floor, Chase mistook him for a waiter. Amused, Emmanuel was about to say something in response when Melanie exclaimed in the distance, "Look, that's Mr. Doyle." Even Rosalind couldn't help glancing in that direction. What's going on? Did some big shot CEO show up or something? Moments later, a burly man in a military uniform made his way toward them with his head slightly raised. There were 2 other guys from wealthy families following closely behind him. That man was Keegan Doyle. Despite looking rather mature, he was only 27 years old. He held the rank of junior lieutenant in Yeringham's military base. His father was a lieutenant colonel in the military, and his mother was a government official in Yeringham. Although her position was not as high as Mackenzie's aunt, she still wielded a fair amount of power. Therefore, Keegan was the epitome of a prominent scion in Yeringham and had made a name for himself. Naturally, he became a prime target for those who wanted to butter him up the moment he showed up at the banquet on the 3rd floor. However, Rosalind was not interested in tanned, muscular men and stopped paying attention to him after a few seconds. Everyone began looking forward to a good show when they saw Keegan walking toward Rosalind. Melanie, too, noticed from the look in Keegan's eyes that he seemed to have taken an interest in Rosalind. At first, she was disappointed in the fact that Keegan wasn't into her. However, her lips curled into an expectant smile when she realized something. Mr. Doyle doesn't know that Emmanuel is Rosalind's brother, and she doesn't seem to be interested in muscular men like him either. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Emmanuel and Rosalind were chatting away at the time, so they didn't pay attention to Keegan at all. Chase had an awkward look on his face after Emmanuel completely ignored his attempts at showing off. Right when he thought things couldn't get any worse, Keegan strode over to them and loomed over them like a mountain. "Is that really you, Rosie? It's so good to see you here." We have a lot of catching up to do. Keegan exclaimed while keeping his scorching gaze fixated on Rosalind, ignoring Emmanuel and Chase completely. Huh? You're Keegan? As in, my junior from university. Rosalind paused for a few seconds before recalling what happened in university years ago. She was in her final year of university when a guy 3 years younger than her tried to court her. Rosalind didn't like muscular men, so she rejected him without even knowing his name and identity. It wasn't until Keegan called her Rosie that she realized he was that same guy. Haha. Technically, I wasn't your junior. I was actually an instructor at the university. Keegan got really excited when he saw that Rosalind still remembered him. Not only is Rosalind curvy in all the right places, but she also has a charming personality and exudes a feminine charm. Keegan then frowned as he shouted at Emmanuel and Chase, "Get lost, you two. I want to have a private conversation with Rosie." Although Chase felt incredibly insulted, he didn't dare argue with Keegan because of the latter's powerful background. Keegan then held Rosalind's hand and tried to forcefully shove Emmanuel aside without regard for manners at all. Noticing the helpless look in Rosalind's eyes, Emmanuel shoved Keegan back and asked with a sneer, "I found her first, so why should I let you have her?" Chase may not have the guts to offend this guy, but I do. Everyone at the scene gasped in shock when they saw that. Who the fuck are you? Keegan was a vulgar man. Though he was able to put on an elegant facade in front of Rosalind, he was quick to drop his polite act and reveal his true colors when faced with another guy.